Mhm. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another community conversation sponsored by the Jamaican American Connection of Greater New Haven. My name is Craig, and I am one of the vice presidents of the organization. And with me today as our host, I have the president and one of the founders, Corain Holness. Kay, thank you so much for joining us and being our host.
Well, thank you.
All right. And also with me, we have Tricia Shields, owner of Magistry Raw Juice LLC. She's a fitness and wellness enthusiast. Tricia, thank you again for making the time for us, and we are looking forward to a great conversation.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Kay, I hand it over to you.
Well, thank you, Craig. Hello, everyone. Hey, Trish, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome.
We did not plan to be wearing green, okay? We both were very surprised when we when the cameras open and we're like, what? But anyway, just think we're friends, right? So today's conversation is especially close to the heart. We're joined by my friend Tricia Shields, a food and wellness influencer who has been transforming how we think about healing, nourishment, and self love. Tricia's personal journey to wellness started with her own challenges. But what makes her story powerful is how she turned that experience into a platform for education, empowerment, and community. So, whether you're in your own wellness walk or looking for motivation to start taking care of you, like I am, Tricia's story is going to bless you. So, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get this meaningful conversation started. That isn't that? Anyway, so Trish,
Yes.
take us back to the moment when wellness became personal for you.
Oh, man. Some people don't like talking about their age, but I'm going to talk about my age because it's a blessing denied to many, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Sometimes, as you get older, you start to realize that, when it comes to your health, it's a personal journey. And sometimes you have to take that assessment and say, what can I do to, become more healthy? And healthy looks like a lot of different things. Doesn't necessarily mean thin. It's not a
Mhm.
size. It's not none of that. It's internal. It could be mental, spirit, whatever that is. For me, many people may not know I struggled with weight after the birth of my children. That's when the weight come on. Interestingly enough, I was a stick, meaning I couldn't gain weight. I was one of those girls who could never gain weight. But
Yeah.
anyway, fast forward to the birth of my children. I don't know. I just plateaued to like 250, 200 and something pounds. And being that overweight, for me, I experienced shortness of breath, um, struggling with buying clothes, what fits, struggling with your confidence, if you know
Mhm.
what I mean. Um, you have a husband, you go out, and everybody around you look real nice. And let me preface a little bit. I've always loved myself, but I know I can do better or look better and feel better. So when I say it's a personal journey, Trisha had to take control of that journey, and juicing was my springboard in losing that weight, feeling a lot better about myself, energy through the roof, um, confidence doubled up. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm happy I was able to tap into that space because I use my story, like
Mhm.
many of us struggle with, to inspire our community of women, especially our Caribbean women, Caribbean on a whole. We are a starch-based culture. We love
Child,
with starch. We love it. It is what it
love
is.
it.
And I'm not here to tell anyone how to eat, what to take away, what to change. You have to come to your realization with that. And it's just taking a step back on educating ourselves on the fundamentals of food, the wholesomeness of food, how they make you feel, listening to your body, right? And when you start to tap into yourself and you eat a certain way and you feel a certain way, that's when you start winning, if you know what I mean. And
Right.
it doesn't just, you don't just win with, oh, I lost the weight and it done. You know, I did it 6 months, the journey done. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
It's a shifting of the mind.
It's big time, big time. You know, you go to parties, you see a whole bunch of food. You have to tap into yourself, like, and sometimes it's okay to indulge. You know, I tell people I indulge. I still have my cake. I still have my glass of wine. I eat, but the big M, moderation.
Right.
Moderation. My weight at some point, I think, affected my back, which resulted in 3 spinal surgeries. The last one they did was a fusion.
Right.
I thought,
Remember
oh
that
my
one?
God. You remember?
I do.
I thought after that it was going to be it for me because, I don't think I could ever try to go in the park and jog, walk, and I was willing to accept it because nobody put the food in your mouth,
That's right.
Are you, we make that choice, right?
We made a choice.
We made a choice.
We made a choice.
So I'm happy to use my space to pour into women, anyone who simply willing to listen. Maybe they're looking for a lifestyle change. They don't know how to start. And, for some people, it's very sensitive.
Right.
So it's very sensitive. You don't want to put your stuff out there on social media for everybody to question why you're doing this, why you're doing that. So I'm that lady over here who I think I've been there, done that. And I also use my platform to inspire us to get back in the kitchen.
So as you say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to share it publicly?
I mean,
because you share with your friends and your family, right?
Right.
But then you decide, say, boy, but that's like my life. I'm gonna share it publicly.
Right? I think in that era, social media was just a place to go and just inspire people. And I think from the transformation that I've made and the compliments and the feeling good and people who have tapped into my weight loss journey and supported me, buying the cleanses and trying it, there was like, you can't keep this to yourself. You need to figure out how to make this a brand and market it because, they'll share with me and tell me stories like juicing is not from Majestic Raw. Juicing has been around for centuries. And I've juiced before, but I just couldn't bother with the ones I taste. They just didn't do it for me. If I was to drink juices from certain stores, I don't think I could have lost my weight, right? And
but Trish,
yes.
For the juicing, right? And before you decide to share the juicing,
yes,
like that thing that says, I'm going to, because, as you say, you are married, you have your children.
Yeah.
And when you step out to become vulnerable, to have people who, know, dissect your life and, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, so to put the juicing aside, the person
who went out and did that.
And did that, because to me, I think it takes courage. To become vulnerable, right? Because you have to, that very first time you decide to turn on the camera and say, okay, take a look at me, not Trish Majestic, right? Yeah. Not Trish the cooking, the Trish the juicing, Trish the person.
Trish the person, me. Like I said, I've always loved myself and I've always been confident, with the exception of the excess weight. And I knew deep down that it couldn't just be me alone going through something like this, right? And I was willing to put myself out there as far as being as authentic and as transparent as I can. Whether it reached one person, I would be okay with that, And then I find when I did it, people were literally reaching out like, oh my God, me as a mother, me Jamaican, me love my food. And you just start hearing the story. And I think from hearing their stories, it literally tapped into me a little bit more. to say, hey, people need to hear more. People started making suggestions and recommendations like, hey, maybe you can do this. Maybe you can cook. Maybe you can share what you eat. Maybe you can share. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a full-time job. I got kids. How am I going to do all of that? But then you figure we're all on this planet for a short while, and we all have a purpose and a meaning. And somehow I believe my purpose was to tap into women. I'm 52, younger women, whoever wants to hear and hear my story. I'm just old Tricia, a Jamaican born sister who love our yard food and willing to inspire people and tell them, look, we can cook and create meals without losing our flavors and the touch to certain things and still accomplish our goal. We can change, we can switch up that mindset. So I think I made myself very vulnerable, transparent, and I think I started doing it more so when I did my surgery, putting on my back brace. And my doctor said to me, you have to be careful going out and walking. You can run the risk, but you go at your own pace and how you feel. And I went out, I believe, 2 weeks after my surgery, and I went into the park. My husband came with me and he was videoing me, and I started walking. And then I started jogging because that's how I felt inside me. And even though it hurt, not to the point where I couldn't do it.
Right.
There would be some hurt. I felt like I was pushing through my pain. And I said, losing the weight, back surgery, not feeling healthy, out of breath when you climb 4 steps,
Yeah.
all of that. How you keep that to yourself? And then people see you too and ask, but wait, where the rest of you there? So it becomes a topic.
Right, because our people are so very, they choose their words wisely.
Yeah, it becomes people ask, what you doing? What you did? What you doing? What you did? So it becomes a topic every time, And then you just say, well, if it's a topic and it's nothing new, join forces with a platform, which, hence the birth of Majesty Raw. And I just kind of use that platform to share what I'm doing, what I'm cooking. And then now I'm tapping into a fitness part of me that just a whole another energy I'm introducing to myself,
So now that you mentioned your husband,
yes,
like I know her husband, and her husband makes me the best cheesecake. But we're not going to, it's not about him today. How did your husband, your children, your sisters, and your family and friends, how did they react to you pivoting to this online world where you are no longer just, you can't just walk down the street in silence anymore, like nobody know you. Everybody know you.
Oh God, no, not at all.
How did they deal with that?
My mom would tell me I've always had this tomboyish mentality about me. I was always that kid that would just full of fire, always want to be out there, while my sisters and my brother were more, restrained, So my mom was not surprised. She's actually proud to see me take on this step. I mean, I need to bring my mother on because genetically, that's why I know I was never supposed to be overweight, because it's again mindset. And touch base on my mom real quick. My mom again she's a mindful eater. You know what I mean? She's 83, health free, knock on wood. You understand? So you idolize those things too. Do you want to be around for your children? You want to be around for your family. So when my mom, my dad, my sisters see me doing this, it's encouraging for them to say, hey, let's support her, and even for themselves. Sometimes it's for you, whether you see me doing it, it's you can support me all you want, but are you doing something for your health as well? And if your health is in tip-top shape and you're doing what you're supposed to do, kudos to you, but right. I know many of us are out there struggling with it. Some people are just not bold enough to come on social media and talk about their struggle or their journey, because you can be criticized. People go and say what they want to say. But I do a lot of meditation, and I'm very spiritual, and I just like to say, listen, Anything that I put out there and say, I can back it 100%.
Let's say.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed. You know, I'm proud, confident Black Jamaican sister. So anything I say, I can't. Very transparent. You know what I mean? Very transparent. You know. So yeah, they've been very supportive. My husband has been very supportive. And you talk about, we're not going to talk about cheesecake, but sometimes I use the cheesecake to people and they said, "Oh, you do all this good cheesecake and you not eat?" I would be lying if I tell you I don't eat any. You know what I mean? I'd be lying. I love the product. I love every last one of them. But them not love me. So eat in moderation. And, you know, it's all moderation. And you know, where's your fitness? Where's your fitness energy in your journey? And a lot of the times you question yourself and you ask yourself, I'm going to start tomorrow. Because where I was going to start tonight? You know what I was going to that's one of the biggest thing. And even before taking my world onto social media, I used to ask myself, when are you going to? When are you going to? When are you going to share this news? When are you going to launch this? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do? And you just get up and you just do it. And you get up and you talk. I'm not a I don't do public speaking. It's not my area of strength. So I just speak from the heart, you know? Pouring into a space where I find joy, and that's through wellness, you know, through cooking, through juicing, and through fitness. Like, I used to go to the gym. My schedule does not permit me, so my gym routine kind of fall off. And I knew it, so I had to pick it back up, because there's no excuse to not be able to work out, whatever you choose to do. Some people do Pilates, you know, whatever it is.
Don't drop no words over here.
I'm so sorry. I do strength training because it's good for my muscles. And as we age, you want to keep those muscles nice and tight and firm. And always remember, you know, your journey is not a competition. So we're not out here to compete. We're here to inspire and empower our sisters, our community. You know, if I see my friend I put on a little weight, I say, hey, even my husband, I say, listen, Johnny, you need to take off some of the weight, you know. When you're going to do a cleanse, even him, me the panto. You know, but I can't make him.
Correct.
Can't make anyone.
It's in your time.
It's in your time. Everybody have their time.
Everybody have their time.
But I'll say this. Don't wait for sickness to come.
Child.
Don't wait for it to come. If it's one, yeah, go ahead.
No, so because I think sickness tend to be the jump starter. The sickness that becomes, you know, like you get some bad news from a doctor and then boom.
Yeah, so true. That is so true.
So that becomes part of your challenge. Like
that's when the brain turn. That's when it fire up, because I know I have to do something. That's a lot of us.
Right.
That's a lot of us, and it's okay. It's a lot of us, but there's so many information out there now to tell us, don't wait. You know what I tell people? May say to me, you do all this fitness thing, you lift weights, you eat this, you eat that. You know, you can get a bad diagnosis and drop down dead. Yes. Not because
but while.
True.
You know,
true. And one thing I always say, and I think I've said it to anybody who I've encountered, I said, one thing I've known for sure, if I'm on death's bed, I want to be at peace knowing that whatever that diagnosis is, it was something that I was able to control. What I can't control, it's in the atmosphere. You know, diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, you name it. These are all things that we do to ourselves. Inflammation. And as healthy as I try to be, I still struggle with some level of inflammation in my joints because of something that I'm still putting in my body that I need to stop.
Yes, we have some arthritis.
I tell you, you see it. And then, you know, you battle with it. Do you change your diet? Do you go vegan? Do you go plant-based? Do you do pescatarian? I'm a flexitarian. I flex. I eat what I want with moderation. I don't really mess with too much pork, too much red meat, but I try to eat in moderation, you know?
So what does like a bad day, bad week look like for you?
For me, when I don't work out, seriously, when I don't work out, you get frustrated. And for me, sometimes when frustration sets in, I want a cheat meal.
Mm,
Honestly. So
right.
to have less bad days, I try to be very positive. I stay positive. So I know I have to get a workout in, whether it's 10 minutes. My
You have to
mind
get
tells
something in.
me I got 10 minutes in. So that kind of, set the precedence for the rest of my day, you know?
So on your calendar,
Mm-hmm.
you put in fitness with because we know you're going to put in the food, but the
Yes.
exercise part, do you put
Mm.
that on your calendar? Because I had to start doing that.
Putting it on the calendar? No,
Yes,
I don't.
as in the sense that for me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm at the beginning of my journey.
Okay, okay.
And so I make sure that these are the days and these are the times in
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to do this. And the only time I'll change from that
Mm-hmm.
is if there's something not in my control.
I
But
got you.
my control is this. And
Right.
so, by talking to a couple of my friends, I said, when people can't find time to exercise, I was like, well, see, now we all live on our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody go by
Mm-hmm.
their calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you put something in? Whereas it's on your calendar.
Yeah.
And then so your meeting will start after you do a workout
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or, so I guess we have to all try to find a way to make it work.
Fit it
For,
in.
for,
Fit
we
it.
have
Fit
to
it.
fit it
Fit
in.
it in. That's an individuality thing based
Mhm.
on your schedule. Some people just cannot fit it in. Some people just have to do it at night. Some people have to do it at day. Now, when you can't do it at all, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's just a choice where you just cannot do it. I remember one time I was listening to former First Lady Michelle Obama, and I think that's when my fitness level kind of kicked up. She said, being the president's wife, her schedule, once she's up, it's nonstop. I know my schedule don't look like hers.
Right.
And she said if she had to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning to make time for her, where she centers herself, get her workout in, that's how she takes on her day. So there's always time for yourself. You always can make time for yourself. I'm a believer of that. You have to make time for yourself.
But
So important.
and I hear what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
like for some people, it is very difficult to find the time because of their work schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
life schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, in that case, and what's the easiest thing, or not the easiest, but what is it if you sit at a desk all day, like what is it that someone can do to at least do something until they get that push,
True, true,
until they
true.
get the push, because I think sometimes in your mind you really want it,
Mm-hmm.
but the bills and life and everything says you
Can
don't.
they can.
You can't. So, you know, I don't know. I remember saying to somebody, when you're mopping the floor, just mop it extra. Like
Right.
get into it. I don't know. It's since
Here's
I start this journey, Trish,
yes.
I start find every which way for exercise. Me I wash plate, me I do
Movement.
things. Me I do
Movement.
movement.
Movement. Movement is the I should say is a proper word. Some people may think when you say exercise, oh God, I need to be in a gym for an hour and every day and it's gonna take up too much of my time. It's movement. Some of us are just sedentary. We don't do anything. You talk
Mhm.
about being at work and you're sitting at your desk for 8 hours. You do get a lunch break. When I worked in corporate America, I used to take my sneakers to work because my lunchtime, I would take my 30 minutes, I have on my pedometer, and I would go outside and walk. In the building itself, we had 14 floors. Sometimes I'll take the step because it's raining outside. There's going to be other things that try to tap in your day. I would use the steps as opposed to the elevator. Sometimes I would park away from the building so I can just simply walk. So sometimes we make the excuses to say, and I'm being very honest, sometimes we make the excuses. It's like sometimes I'll wake up and say, I'm not going to work out today because I don't really have an excuse. I just probably don't want to. And sometimes that's okay too. We have to listen to our body, because it doesn't make any sense if you go work out and you didn't give it your all. You always want to give it your all, especially when you come to yourself, you know? But for those, if you're just starting out, I always say this: walking is your best friend. And you don't have to set a time to say I have to lock off 30 minutes or an hour. 15 minutes, 10 minutes of your day, just going outside and walking and embracing nature, a park, a scenery. Even if it's not about the fitness level of it, it does something to your mental wealth, your well-being, you know? So much going on in this world, I'm telling you. Sometimes we just need to recenter. And that walking time sometimes is that me time where I talk to myself. I'm not crazy, but it's just that beautiful conversation that you have, and you utilize that time to say, you know, this really feels good knowing that I'm walking, you know. It's good for my heart, right? It's good for so many things that you don't know. I had a client who, rest his soul, died, and he was overweight, and then he, you know, decided that he wanted to juice. He knew he needed to lose some weight, but then he got diagnosed with cancer. And then, of course, he wanted soursop juice. But the conversation that he had, where he acknowledged that I worked so hard and I neglected myself.
Yeah.
I worked so hard that I neglected myself. And another thing we can look at and say is, your health is your wealth. If you don't have your health, you can't give someone 8 hours of your day. If you don't have your health, how are you going to pour into someone else? We have to pay our bills. We have to do this. We have to do that. When your health deteriorates, the same person you work for kick you out of the chair and somebody else in there. And you have to go and figure out how am I going to get myself well again. You understand? Baby steps. We take baby steps until we have matured into our journey. Not everybody start at the same pace. Start at your pace, run your race because you have a goal in mind of what is it that you need to do. What is it that's going to work for you? How can I fit this into my schedule, be healthy, feel good about myself, and knowing that I'm doing this for me, for Korean, for yourself. I think those are just rewarding merits that we can tap ourselves on the back and take away with, you know? Yeah.
So we touched the movement. Let's go to the number one culprit.
Lord have mercy, what that now?
The food.
The food.
Because, come on now. You know, the food.
I can't say this one, the thing. So Jamaicans, we have the best food. We have the best food, right? Can I say that? Like, you know.
You can't say it. You can't say it.
No, we do. We do. I'm a big spice girl. I love flavor, fusion. But I also like diversity in my foods. You know?
Right.
Sometimes we have to scale away. So I'm gonna make you ask what you're going to ask about your food.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because that is our, you know, like, me love white rice. Yeah, I just love white rice. And
bread.
And bread. And I'm actually moving away from the bread, but rice and dumpling and yam and banana, and, you know, it's like
all starch and carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Turn into sugar. I know. I know. That's when the research come into play. Rice. The other day I made a cauliflower mashed potato. Somebody said don't call it potato, but to me that was the concept. Using the cauliflower to make potatoes. Cauliflower, more of a vegetable. The potatoes high in carbohydrates. So I wanted to have my steak, but I didn't want to have it with potatoes. So I boiled the cauliflower lightly, then put it in my food processor with a little butter, a little fresh scallion, a little salt, whip it up, and then bake it in the oven. Again, just figuring out how to shift. That's it, you know. We love our... All right, Easter just passed. We want
Gotcha.
a bun and cheese, right? Then we want a festival. You see that you're going to say me not going to enjoy my Easter, right?
Right.
So you know what? I had my bun and cheese and I had my festival. But you know, the months leading up to it, man, I did more workout. I've really fired up on my workout, and you know, because eating bun and cheese and a festival not going to do anything to me for the day. You know, think about it. It's not. That's not how I eat every day. Some people just believe I just don't need to have it at all, and that's also okay. Because that's when we butt heads, you know, and people believe if you're healthy and this and that, you shouldn't have. I'll tell you straight up, you cannot tell me what I can and cannot have. I know what works for my body. I know what I can eat. It's like I can tell you, you may say I don't like cauliflower, Tricia, so don't tell me about it. That's okay. You can still have your potato.
You can, true.
You can still have your potato.
But
So
instead of having
I just
several
really
shares,
highlight suggestions, alternatives
alternatives,
to how to eat.
or portions.
Or portions. There you go. Curry chicken. Lord is my curry chicken is oh. So actually I've been craving some curry chicken, and I've been on this high protein, low carb diet for a little bit now. And I cannot for the life of me mentally wrap my head around not having curry chicken and white rice. You know what I've done?
Quinoa.
Me no cook
We
it.
don't cook it.
Me no cook.
Upside.
But it's all right. I'm going to. But also what that is doing too, I'm building something in my mind, you know, to say, you don't have to. You love it. I love it. But I just don't have to have it right now. Maybe later on, to the point where I probably don't even have it. Right?
That's
I
a willpower.
willpower.
Because
it's not an easy thing. It's
what?
not. But you know what? You see, when the rewards start to show up, and you start to feel it when you wake up in the morning and your body now crackle. And you don't feel like you're popped down. You know, you start to tell yourself, so what I do for myself is a good thing. No, real talk right there.
Yeah.
Wow, I cut out all this sugar. No, my body feels better. I cut out this, I cut out that. And then you literally start to feel it in your body. You know, it's like if I miss a day when I don't work out, I feel miserable. So sometimes if I'm watching TV, I'll just grab my hand weights and do something to make myself feel like I did something. And sometimes in those moments, I do a full workout. I tell you, and then when you take your shower, you feel so accomplished, ready to take on something late night or midday. That's where it's been for me. And it hasn't always been that way for me. I never saw myself being this healthy person telling people about how to eat or making suggestions or changing up how me eat and cutting this out and all of that. But I think more so too because I have young children and I want to be around for them too. You know, it's very important that I'm mindful of how I eat. You know, so many news you hear of people dying of them blood pressure too high. Just certain things that were controllable. I just make you put things into perspective and say, I can do things a little different, man. I can make some adjustment. And sometimes you have to just take an assessment of your kitchen, your grocery list, your cupboard, you know, ice cream, certain things we buy. There is always an alternative to what we eat. It's just finding that good alternative that when you eat it, you don't feel like you're restricted and you can eat and still feel good, because we want something to eat that still tastes good. And sometimes when we talk about diet, it makes us feel like it's just a word you don't even want to entertain.
Right, because diet sometimes is so restrictive. Because you start taking, you start thinking of things that can't have.
True.
Versus, as you said before, it's a mind change. It's a shifting of your thoughts about how you look at food and exercise and wellness, right?
Eat to nourish, not punish. I think that's what it is. If we eat to nourish and don't look at it as a punishment, then there's a gratification behind that process. Yeah.
I like that though. Eat to nourish.
Yeah, eat to nourish.
Yes, yes. So what's next for Trish?
Oh, what's next for me? I think I probably pinched you and told you the other day that I'm working on an ebook because a lot of people have been fascinated with how I create, my meals, how you take your shrimp and put it into a cucumber boat, and how satisfying and filling it and easy, quick meals because of our time. Me can't cook curry goat pan a Monday. I don't. I do I think on Saturday sometime I set up my schedule to go to a whole soup production, and may I tell you, even though it's plant-based, it's a process. It takes a lot of time to prepare just to show the world that there's alternative ways to eating. But listen, a cookbook is coming.
So you're trying to tell me that I can't text you or call you and tell you, say, Trish, I have to go wait for the book now?
I think it's time. I've been doing a lot of juicing, and somehow I'm shifting towards this fitness platform that I'm starting to love it so much. And also cooking and sharing recipes. I find where I'm finding a lot of joy in that because that's my lifestyle. That's how I eat as well.
Right.
People will go, so what about juicing? I juice. I don't get up and juice every day. That's what people fail to realize. I don't get up and have juices every single day. I do more smoothies, right? And there comes a time where I need to reset. So I know I'm going to do a little fasting for 3 to 7 days. That's where I do my juicing. You kind of know, and a time to purge, if you will, purge and reset, and then start again, because it's very important for me because it's something that have really transformed my life. So
Right.
juicing will always be near and dear to me. But we have to eat. I eat more than I do the juicing. So I'm spending a lot more time into focusing on wholesome foods, preparing meals that will fuel me, and make me feel good from the inside out. So I think the ebook will kind of, share a little bit about my inspiration behind cooking. Never been to cooking school, but to me love eat. No, to me love name. Me know good food. I couldn't say eat. It sounds too classy.
Yes. Nyamins.
Nyamings, yes, so nyamings, my dear. Without compromising. If me used to laugh and tell people, if you can't cook, it's all harder for you. And cooking is not for everybody. Some people it's just not. It's not for them. You understand? And some people cannot just cook off the cuff. They need to follow something. You understand? That's just the world we live in. So either which way, the book will be something that you can go to if you want to make a nice green juice, you want to make a nice pineapple juice with no added sugars. It's going to be there in the book for you. You can go to it. You want to prepare a meal. Certain of my meals will also be in it. So working on that to bring that to my platform and to my community for, anyone that is interested to support your sister girl over here.
That's right. So,
but yeah.
So, if one thing that you would want the people who are listening, watching, not to walk away with,
what would I tell people?
What would you tell them? Yeah.
To walk away with. You have to do an internal assessment of yourself and see what can I do differently if we're talking about health, so health is the topic. What can I do differently starting now? Why wait for tomorrow? What mental note can I make for myself to say, I want to change this one thing and see how I do. Don't take 10 different things and confuse yourself. Take one thing that's your weakness, something that you're addicted to, that you cannot live without it when it comes to food, and see, how can I just not do that one thing? Let me have that one relationship with that one thing and see if I can remove it slowly. And sometimes when you check that off, you'll be surprised that you add a second one, and you check it off, and you add a third one, especially when you start to feel good about yourself in doing so, right? And I leave this also. Your health should always be your priority, your number one priority, simply because, and I think I've said it during our conversation, that without our health, we might as well quit planning, quit thinking about anything we can do, because if we don't have it, we're no good.
No good.
So it's an investment. Make that time to invest in you and do an assessment of what one thing I can change today that I know I can do without.
Or they can add.
Or you can add. That's true. Maybe I can start walking,
Yeah.
right? Maybe I can start walking. I don't know where to start. Oh God, we're on YouTube. If you type in videos, home workouts, beginners,
Yeah.
Lady Shields. If you follow my Lady Shields page, I have my little things in there where I show you how to do little movements. Been very helpful. I mean, I have on my shirt, but it's if you touch my guns,
Aye.
feel like I'm 20.
Aye.
But again, your aura, when you start to do these things about yourself, your aura, your personality, you yourself feel so good that the energy, you just attract good energy around. How long I know you?
Gotcha. Oh God.
And
How
I
long
don't see you often. And when I see
No.
the energy, the aura is just the same. Why? It's authentic. That's it. It's authentic. So be authentic with yourself in your journey, right? And if you make a mistake, I tell people, don't beat up yourself. Give yourself grace. We deserve that too. Sometimes we beat up ourselves too much.
Right.
And start again. And start again.
So
Yeah.
I have a question from online. It says, how do you come up with tasty, low carb, low fat alternatives?
Tasty low carb alternatives, depending on what we're referring to as low carb. Because if we're talking rice, I would pivot to quinoa. If we're talking rice, I would pivot to like a wheat rice, wheat green, low carb alternative. It really depends on what you're referring to as low carb. There's so many levels of low carb. We talk about potatoes, cauliflower,
Okay.
or scale back, because you can have your carbs. You can have your carbs, but scale it back, cut back.
That is true, because everything is needed, right?
Yeah, you can have your carbs.
You can
I
have.
I still do carbs, but I go more protein, less carbs.
So I did, because my husband refused to eat quinoa. So I mix the quinoa in, but anybody, if any of my kids listening, watching, please don't tell enough father. I incorporate the quinoa with the rice.
The regular rice.
Yes, just put it in. Just have to get it in. Just to get something in.
Right.
So yeah. So and then again, it becomes like portion. So for me, I love curry goat and white rice. Portion, you know. So the next question is, are you using juice as meal replacement?
It depends. I do. And when I do juicing as meal replacement, I'm going to also have a smoothie with it. Because just drinking straight juice, you're going to still be hungry. So I find when I add a smoothie with it, it's more satisfying, it's more filling. So if you look at, for instance, my 3-day cleanse, it's juices combined with smoothies, so that you don't go into that ketosis mode and feel like you're having the jitteries and all that, because you still need to feel full. And the juice is just more of a liquid. It just passes through, And sometimes, again, depending on how you're eating, how you're fueling your body, I can have a juice and still be okay if I skip a meal. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm just not so hungry. So maybe I don't need a smoothie. I'll just do a juice and I'm okay.
So I guess it depends on how your eating habits.
Depends on how your eating habits are. But for the most part, I do smoothies for a meal replacement.
Okay. All right. So so can you please give all your social media handles, my friend, so they know how to follow you, whether they want to follow you, the workout, the cooking, or the juicing?
One thing with the juicing, people will say, but your juice, you lose all of your fiber in the juices. In Majestri Raw's kingdom, I try to keep it juices and smoothies so that there's that balance for you. You're getting the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals from your juices, and from your smoothies, you're getting the fiber, whatever, fully natural to keep you whole. And I think I should have said this before we started, Corinne. How did I miss? Why juicing was also my springboard to my health when I was over 200 pounds. When I first did my 3-day cleanse, I dropped 10 pounds in 3 days. You see, when you do that, and you go up on that scale and you see that scale shift, it's a shift for you. That 3-day was a shift for me. Like I tell people, I felt like Beyonce when that 10 pounds. You literally, it's funny how your mind works, because I didn't want to eat. After the 3 days, well, the juicing kind of did something to me mentally. But after the 3 days, when you lost the weight, it was kind of like, girl, you can do this. No, you just have to figure out how to eat. And that's where the real challenge started, how to eat, you know? But yeah,
so for me, Trish,
yeah.
Before you tell them the social media, I hate the scale.
Who loves it?
No, because some people, they do. Personally, I don't. I try to make sure I find something that I truly love in my closet, and I use that as my guide.
Yeah.
Because the scale, you can go up on a scale today and you just like, you drink 1 glass of water and you just gain 2 pounds. I'm just saying, or you were bad, whatever it is.
Right.
So I try not to let it,
That the scale dictate that. Yeah, the scale is just there as a guide. You are there. You are in control of you. So you know what you're doing if you don't go up on the scale and if you want to go up on the scale. As long as you know you're pouring and nourishing your body the best way possible, that's okay. Like some people will measure the portions of their food that they cook on a scale. I don't do that. Like, it may work for someone. I'll probably sit up here and be like, oh, that is so anal. I don't want to say that, because if that's your method and it works for you, then kudos to you, you know? So, man,
so we all have to find what works for us.
You, at the end, in anything, you have to find what works for you. And some people be like, I want to try something new. Then that's okay too. And you may try it and it does not work for you. Juicing is not for everybody. You understand? You do need fruits and vegetables in your body. You can eat them as well. Some people just cannot eat them. Some people rather juicing them. Some people love juicing. Some people love how juicing make them feel. You know, some people use it as that springboard to health. So again, an individual thing.
Okay. Well, give them the handle.
Oh God. So if you want to slim down and work on your love handle and with big back and with fat back, no pun intended, it's all fun. Definitely check out my @Lady Shields on Instagram, where I definitely promote wellness, fitness, and then my cooking page, and where I share my craft and my love for food is at Majestri Raw. So definitely check that out. And if you're
spell Majestrina, because it's not
spell the Majestri, so it is
Raw, yes.
MAJESTRIRAWW. And people go, why the 2W? It's raw, but I'm not fully raw. So that's the social media on Instagram. Definitely check it out. Support your girl. And if you're considering doing a cleanse, you can visit my website at www.majestryraw.com. Corinne, it's time for us to do a wellness event, you know. Everybody on social media show Jamaican food and I cook up and I go on with a whole bunch of stuff. And I really see a wellness, natural, organic food, fruits, tasting of healthy foods, you know, going off. Maybe we need to consider doing something grand.
Tricia.
Yeah.
I'm giving them more work. but
we're talking to the president of JAC, you know, according to Craig. He introduced the president of JAC. So, you know.
We'll consider, because I mean we did do one here in New Haven before, remember?
Yeah.
We did do
and you saw how the creativeness in the foods.
Correct.
How you eat.
Correct.
It's all sometimes just making that connection.
So I guess we need to we will we will put it on the table. So, so Trish, thank
Yes,
you. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for showing up and sharing your truth with us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I really appreciate you taking the time.
You are welcome. Yeah, and I really do hope that my story somehow connected with someone in the audience. Share it, tell a friend. Maybe you have a family member who's struggling. Sometimes you just have to, come out of your comfort zone and just, reach out. You want to have a one-on-one consultation with me? I'll be more than happy to get on a phone call and talk with you personally on how we can tailor something to fit your needs. So, hey, thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you again. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us again. And the community conversation is getting information to you. And this is something that our organization, is part of our mission. And so thank you so much. And now I get to turn it over back to Craig.
Interesting conversation. Just to reiterate, Tricia, thank you so much.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome.
Reducing my way to wellness. That was our topic. And if you heard nothing else, health is wealth. So please take care of yourself, take care of your bodies. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for another, JAC conversations, community conversations. Like, subscribe to our channel, JAC New Haven. There'll be more conversations coming soon, so stay tuned. Thank you again for joining us so much. Have a good evening.
All right.